I understand that I will be imprisoned for all this information. I just want to confess everything and explain what is happening in our country. I think it would be better if there was no war at all.
Daniil Frolkin, a Russian contract serviceman from Khabarovsk, in a conversation with journalists of the Important Stories, confessed to committing war crimes in the village of Andriivka, Kiev region, which had been under occupation for more than a month. A 21-year-old Russian soldier killed one civilian and looted.
I am a soldier of military unit 51-360 of the Guard Corps, Detective Sergeant Froklin Danil Andreevich, and I confess to all the crimes that I committed in Andriivka, killing civilians, robbing civilians, and stealing their telephones.
The journalists identified 4 Russian soldiers involved in the looting and killing of civilians in Andriivka. They were identified thanks to photos they had taken using a stolen phone belonging to a local resident. This village is one of the most affected by Russian shelling. 13 civilians were killed during the occupation.
Many residents of Andriivka with whom we spoke remembered the soldiers in these photos. According to local stories, they may have been involved in robberies, looting and even murders. From the article of the Important Stories edition.
Minister of Defense of Ukraine Oleksiy Reznikov has called on the countries of the Ramstein format to help punish Russian war criminals. He asked to delegate experts in military justice and specialists in combating war crimes to create an international group. It would help with work on specific cases of Russian war crimes in Ukraine and analyze practical aspects of punishment for war crimes committed during the war.
The brutal mass killings of Ukrainian POWs by Russian invaders in Olenivka once again demonstrated the criminal and inhuman nature of everything that the Kremlin is trying to bring upon our land, the nature from which we are protecting not only Ukraine but the entire free world. I have no doubt that after Ukraine's victory in this war, we will, one way or another, catch all those involved in these barbaric killings and tortures. Representatives of the Ukrainian Defense Forces have repeatedly and very clearly expressed their position on this matter. Sooner or later, it will happen. Oleksiy Reznikov, Minister of Defense of Ukraine, on Facebook.
However, Reznikov said to make implementation of these measures a reality, a system of legal responses to war crimes must be proposed with a cool head. The minister stressed that an important component of the response should be a demonstration that punishment will be inevitable and not limited in time. International experts say that the world has just begun to think about what justice for Russia's aggressive war may look like, but the Ukrainian legal system is unable to cope with the huge number of cases.
As the conflict goes on, more and more Russian soldiers, colonels and generals are going to fall into the custody of the Ukrainians. And as that happens, there's going to be a lot of interest in starting the prosecutions. I cannot imagine that the current Ukrainian court system can handle that. Michael Sharf, co-dean of Case Western Reserve University School of Law, in an interview with Foreign Policy.
Michael Sharf proposes the creation of a military tribunal, which in addition to Ukrainian judges would include international observers, foreign advisors, and would be guaranteed security from the West and substantial funding.
The Russians are not going to surrender any of their indicted people, but an Interpol red notice means any of those indicted persons, politicians, military commanders or soldiers, would risk arrest by leaving the country. It will make those people, including Putin, prisoners in Russia. Michael Sharf, co-dean of Case Western Reserve University School of Law, in an interview with Foreign Policy.
According to the Prosecutor General's Office of Ukraine, Russia has committed more than 28,500 war crimes against Ukraine since the beginning of its full-scale military invasion. Experts say the Nuremberg trials, where Nazi war criminals were tried, remain the gold standard for such prosecutions, although the first trials were focused on the top leadership of the Nazi regime. But this tribunal only became possible after the defeat of Nazi Germany. Reported by Roman Smoler, Victoria Sinko, UATV News.